From the Gospel according to John, chapter 14, verses 15 to 21. At that time, Jesus said to his disciples, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments, and I will ask the Father, and he will give you another helper to be with you forever, even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him. You know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. Yet a little while, and the world will see me no more. But you will see me. Because I live, you also will live. In that day you will know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. Whoever has my commandments and keeps them, he it is who loves me. And he who loves me will be loved by my Father, and I will love him and manifest myself to him." Nissan Motors uses as its motto, "We are driven." According to Gordon MacDonald, that phrase describes many of us. We are driven to acquire, driven to achieve, driven to be. And this drivenness is taking its toll. A physician, Dr. Robert Anderson, who has researched the subject of stress extensively, says that he used to think that 35 to 40% of the problems he saw in his office were stress-induced. Now he thinks it could be as high as 90%. These problems include ulcers, stomach disorders, headaches, high blood pressure, insomnia, back pain, muscle aches, as well as a host of psychiatric disorders. The late Dr. John Schindler wrote some time back that of 500 people admitted to a clinic, 77% were suffering emotionally from what he called the CDTs, by which he meant the cares, difficulties and troubles of life. Do you have the CDTs? A lot of folks do nowadays. Listen to the words of Jesus today. "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." There is a defining phrase in that statement, one that tells us what kind of peace it is that Christ gives us. Listen to it again and see if you can pick it out. "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives." The defining phrase is, "not as the world gives." Do you see how that defines God's peace? The world promises peace through the rule of law. Law and order is the only way for a society and a people to experience peace, and law and order must be kept by the aggressive use of force. That's the only way that the world can bring about peace. But here is how Jesus will give you peace. If you obey His word, He and the Father will come to you and make a home with you, right in your heart, not by force but by choice. They will abide in your heart, bringing peace. The world's peace is peace through strength. The Lord's peace is peace through surrender. We have all been asked by our children, if you could have any wish, what would it be? I think the most common answer given is world peace. Peace is important. Jesus makes a point to tell His disciples that He is going to leave them with peace. Peace is a vital part of our faith. Let's look a little closer at what Jesus means by peace. First, there is the peace the world gives. Jesus recognized this kind of peace. What kind of peace is this? What did He have in mind? From the Revolutionary War to the war on terror, unrest has marked our nation. "Peace," Jesus said, "I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. You can then read between the lines of Jesus. This new covenant is not a covenant of land. It is a covenant of my blood. It is not a covenant of nation building. It is a covenant of relation building. He is telling his disciples, you no longer live on land, you live on love. You no longer work for nation, you work for neighbor. You no longer are under the law, you are under grace. You no longer act out of fear, you serve out of joy. But there is the peace the Lord gives. When Dante knocked at the door of the Franciscan monastery at Lunigiana, he was asked, "What do you want?" He replied, "Peace." It was one of the deepest desires of our heart. You may be someone who has had little doubt about God's presence in your life. You may be someone who has felt comfort from God. You may be well acquainted with peace. If you are one of these people, you are one of few. For most people fear. They fear the darkness. They fear the day. They fear people, the law, family, friends, enemies, life and death. You name it. Fear is all around us. So Jesus made it clear to his disciples that he wanted them to have peace and that he would leave that peace with them. How do we receive this peace? Jesus is straightforward. It is through obedience. Those who obey his word will receive his peace. Obedience is what we give in order that we might receive the peace that Jesus gives. St. Francis of Assisi, in one of his discourses, told his followers that the peace of Christ comes through our acts of obedience, especially obedience in times of suffering. We will do well if we remember that true peace is the assurance that one day our brother Jesus will return to take us back to our Father's house. So, do not let your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. Amen.